Look, I'm just going to be real with you here. I've spent 15 years studying human attraction and relationships, and if there's one thing I've seen crash and burn more times than I can count, it's guys who think chasing harder will somehow make a woman suddenly interested. It doesn't work. Like ever. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. The basic psychology you're fighting against. Here's the thing about human nature that nobody wants to admit. We all want what feels scarce and valuable. It's not some manipulative game. It's literally how our brains are wired. When something comes too easily or seems desperately available, our subconscious does this little calculation and goes, if they're this available, what's wrong with them? I know that sounds harsh, but think about it in literally any other context. If someone's trying to sell you a car and they're calling you 5 times a day, dropping the price every conversation, following you around the lot, you're going to think something's wrong with that car, right? You're not going to feel flattered. You're going to feel suspicious and probably annoyed. The same principle applies to dating. When you're constantly texting, always available, rearranging your entire schedule at a moment's notice, or showing up places hoping to accidentally run into her, you're broadcasting low value. Not because you are low value, but because that behavior signals that you don't have other options, other interests, or honestly, much going on in your life. The attraction killer. Predictability. Women are attracted to mystery and challenge. Not because we're cruel or playing games, but because uncertainty creates emotional investment. When we can predict your every move, when we know you'll always text back in 30 seconds, when we're 100% certain you'll drop everything for us, there's no tension. And without tension, there's no spark. I had a client once who was doing everything right on paper. He was kind, attentive, thoughtful, always available. The woman he was pursuing literally told me, "I respect him so much, but I just feel nothing." That nothing is the absence of emotional arousal that comes from not knowing what's next. When you chase, you remove all uncertainty. She knows exactly where she stands with you. She knows she's got you hooked. And paradoxically, that security makes you boring. The relationship becomes a foregone conclusion before it even starts. And where's the excitement in that? You're putting her on a pedestal, and she can tell. This is going to sound counterintuitive, but bear with me. When you chase a woman relentlessly, you're essentially telling her, "You're so much more valuable than me that I need to work overtime just to deserve your attention." You might think you're showing her how much you care, but what she's actually receiving is the message that you see yourself as beneath her. And here's the weird part. Most women don't want to date someone who sees them as some prize to be won. We want an equal. We want someone who thinks, "Yeah, she's great, and so am I, so let's see if this works." Not someone who's treating us like we're doing them some massive favor by existing in their vicinity. The pedestal thing creates this really unhealthy dynamic where she feels pressure to be perfect, and you're setting yourself up for massive disappointment when you inevitably realize she's just a regular human with flaws and bad hair days and annoying habits like everyone else. The respect factor. Let me hit you with some uncomfortable truth. When you chase, you're not respecting her signals. If a woman is lukewarm, slow to respond, frequently busy, or giving you short answers, she's telling you something. Maybe she's genuinely busy, or maybe she's not that interested. Either way, continuing to pursue harder isn't romantic. It's ignoring her communication. I've had so many female friends tell me about guys who just won't take a hint. They feel guilty, they feel pressured, and sometimes they even feel unsafe. What you think is persistence, she might experience as boundary pushing. And nothing kills attraction faster than feeling like someone doesn't respect your space, or your subtle, or not so subtle cues. You're killing your own confidence. Here's what happens psychologically when you chase. Every unreturned text, every canceled plan, every lukewarm response becomes a tiny rejection. And your brain collects these rejections like receipts. Your confidence erodes bit by bit until you're this anxious mess who's analyzing every word she says for hidden meaning. This anxiety is palpable. Women can sense it, and desperation has a smell, metaphorically speaking. You start second-guessing everything, overthinking every interaction, and ironically, this makes you way less attractive than you were when you started. Meanwhile, you're so focused on winning her over that you're not even evaluating whether she's actually a good fit for you. You're not asking yourself, is this person adding value to my life? Do I actually enjoy talking to her? Or do I just like the idea of her? You've stopped being selective, and that's a problem. The opportunity cost is massive. Every hour you spend crafting the perfect text to someone who's barely responding. Every weekend you keep free hoping she'll be available. Every mental cycle you waste analyzing her Instagram stories. That's time and energy you're not spending on yourself or on meeting other people who might actually be excited about you. I've watched guys spend months or even years hung up on one woman who's clearly not interested, missing out on other amazing women who were showing interest. It's like being so focused on a locked door that you don't notice all the open ones around you. And I promise you, that authenticity is way more attractive than any amount of chasing could ever be. What actually works instead? You know what's genuinely attractive? A guy who has his own life, his own goals, his own friend group, and his own sense of worth that isn't dependent on whether one particular woman texts him back. A guy who's interested, but not desperate, who's willing to walk away if the interest isn't mutual. When you stop chasing and start living, pursuing your hobbies, building your career, hanging out with friends, being genuinely unavailable sometimes because you've got your own stuff going on, that's when you become interesting. That's when the dynamic shifts. It's not about playing hard to get or following some calculated strategy. It's about genuinely being someone who values their own time and has options. The bottom line, chasing backfires because it fundamentally misunderstands how attraction works. Attraction isn't built through persistence or by convincing someone of your worth. It's either there or it's not, and it's cultivated through mutual interest, natural chemistry, and both people showing up as confident, whole individuals. If you have to chase someone, they're not your person. Your person will meet you halfway. They'll be excited to hear from you. They'll make time for you, and you'll both feel lucky to have found each other. Not like one person won some prize while the other settled. So stop chasing. Start living. Become the kind of person who's busy enough and fulfilled enough that dating is just one part of your life, not the whole thing. That's when you'll actually attract the kind of relationship you want. Trust me on this one.